Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a slightly different video. I'm going to go ahead and say it because you've probably seen by the title already, but this is my pregnancy announcement video. That's crazy. Yeah, I just thought I would put together a little video because I obviously have announced it on Instagram a few weeks ago now, and I just felt like I wanted to do a kind of longer video where I talked about my fertility journey and a little bit, just a chatty video with other bits and bobs to do with my journey and everything else really. So yeah, here we are on my YouTube channel talking about my pregnancy, which just feels super surreal, and I feel really lucky and blessed to be in this position. So before I go further into the video, if you are new here, then please make sure to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. And if you are new, then my channel mainly consists of crafting and sewing videos, but I probably will do the odd little lifestyle vlog you know, throughout my journey becoming a mum and things like that. Obviously if that's not for you, you don't have to watch them. But I do tend to keep it very kind of real over here and on my Instagram, and as much as I do sewing videos, they're quite vloggy and I talk about my life and stuff. So I thought it'd be really nice today to just talk about this part of my life and this journey that I'm embarking on right now. So here's my little baby scan. This was little Bubba at 13 weeks. So when we went for our 12-week/13 week scan, I was meant to be measuring 12 plus 4, and actually I was measuring 13 weeks exactly. So my due date changed from the 2nd of December and it is now the 29th of November. So yeah, little baby is currently 16 weeks today in my tummy. So I'm finally getting around to filming this video now that the sickness is gone. I don't want to speak too soon, but morning sickness has died down. I'm feeling a lot more energy. I feel a lot more like myself. You might have seen, if you do follow me on Instagram, I have been struggling with my skin. So apologies for, you know, the redness and the acne and stuff. I know I don't need to say sorry, but it's all very new to me. I've never had acne in my life, and I'm struggling with a little bit of perineal, I think it is, or perineal, I don't know, dermatitis acne. So I have like cystic acne and dermatitis, so I'm sort of like dealing with both of those, and it is literally hormonal, pregnancy related. Never had it before in my life. So there we go. I've just put a tiny bit of anti-redness on and that's it. So I just thought I'm going to show up, I'm going to do this video, I'm not going to worry about my skin, I'm pregnant, so that's that. But yes, there's little baby. Oh, maybe just get a bit more comfy because I get out of breath super easily. Right, so I am going to do this video based off of memory. I haven't got anything written down. Although if you guys are going through some kind of fertility journey in itself, if you're in the midst of it or if you've been through it, you'll know that it's all very consuming. When you want something so much and you're passionate about it, I think obsession is like a very normal emotion to have, and yeah, I did verge on that, and I feel like I'm hoping in this video I can talk about my journey, but also maybe give you guys a little bit of hope if you're on the same sort of path. So let's start at the beginning, I guess. We started having conversations around October 2019 about wanting to try for a baby, and what happened is I had a colonoscopy because I've got Crohn's disease. So I actually live with Crohn's. I've had it since I was 13, I'm now 30, and I have arthritis and just a couple of little health things. I've got obviously chronic health issues, so that to me was really important to make sure that was sort of under control before we had a baby. I wanted to make sure I was in the best health that I could be, and October 2019 I had a colonoscopy and it confirmed that my Crohn's was in remission, and at the time I was on something called Humira, which essentially helps your immune system to fight off the Crohn's, and I'd been on that for 1.5 years, and they finally kind of came back and said it's done its job. They don't fund it if you're not showing any signs of active Crohn's on the NHS, so they take you off it basically. And then I got clinically proven as being in remission, which is amazing. So from October, sorry, just adjusting on the seat. From October 2019, I kind of said to Chris, my husband, that I was ready for trying for a baby now that my health was sort of in a good position. He very much was basically like, I'm not ready yet, I'm not there yet. And he was like, you know, we need to get our finances in order, like we need to figure out what we're going to do with staying in London or moving. And I was like, yeah, cool. I kind of just gave him, you know, that time, and I didn't force anything. I just said, look, I've just told you that I'd like to start, you take the time that you want, and we'll reassess in a month or two, and we'll talk about it again and just see where you're at. But my priority was knowing that that window of opportunity of being in remission was super important, because the last time I came into remission after being on Humira, it only lasted for 8 months. So I was just very aware that a window of opportunity for us had arisen, and we got married earlier that year in the May 2019, and I just felt like it was a good opportunity for us. So we got to December, and I don't think there was ever a confirmation conversation, if you like, where we both were like, yeah, we're ready, you know. It was kind of just very organically would go about that way. Every time it would come up in conversation, we both just knew it was like what we wanted. And Chris absolutely loves children, he loves babies, he's actually amazing with my family, my nephews and my niece, and yeah, it's just something we've always talked about, and kind of just organically progressed. And then I said in December 2019 that I was going to come off the pill. So I'd been on the microgynon pill, and that was really good actually, because it was I used to get in my early 20s a lot of pelvic pain and issues with my period, and the doctor said, well, I had to go through to gynecology after a lot of different issues, and I've got suspected endometriosis, never confirmed because I'm too high risk to have a laparoscopy, which is the only way they can actually see / confirm endo, unless it's super severe. It doesn't really show up on ultrasounds and things like that. So yeah, I was kind of just told I might have it, you know, and we'll treat you with microgynon. And actually the microgynon really helped my periods and the pain and stuff. I'd get occasional issues, but I would take two packets back to back, and that kind of managed it. So came off the pill December, and then sort of January 2020 was when, like, in my mind was when I was going to start tracking my cycle and seeing what was happening. And I downloaded different apps. So I used Ovia, which I actually found to be one of the better ones, Flow, and another one which I'm not even going to say the name because I didn't find it very accurate at all. I think it was the Mama something or other, like you got like tests and you did it with that. But anyway, so they're the main two that I used. Ovia in particular I found, because I was literally putting in data from December, from when I came off the pill, and within 3 months the data of my cycle, it kind of already had a knowledge, and you start to build, by putting in more data, you start to get a better accurate reading in the algorithm to say when you're likely to be ovulating and things like that. So I found that really handy. Flow I found good as well, but it didn't like change the accuracy. Say for example I had a 28-day period, and then, or 28-day cycle, and then I had a 33-day cycle, because obviously at first it was like a little bit up and down. It wouldn't find an average, it would just be like it's still this day from the previous cycle, so I didn't find it as good. So anyway, cut long story short, we were kind of trying, and spring last year was obviously a weird time because we went into lockdown, and yeah, it was good because I was in really good health, so I was enjoying like being in, you know, do you know what, I was just enjoying being healthy, and I felt super grateful to be healthy and just really blessed and everything, and I just enjoyed it as much as I could. You know, I felt good in my body for the first time in ages. I had a bit more confidence. Yeah, it got to about May time, and that's when I was looking back through the apps, and I was like, my periods are becoming more regular. I was in between sort of 30 days and 33 days, and it still classed it as regular, and I was like, yeah, that's cool, that's fine. And obviously when you verge on 33 days, it's more than a month, so you start slowly going from a month cycle to like longer, and it just felt like forever. Each month just felt like so long. And it wasn't really until June 2020 that I started thinking, why, like, what's happening with me? Because it was like so new to me as well, and I was just like, you know, it's been 5 months and I'm just not sure if I'm like okay, you know. But sort of just carried on doing my thing. I started tracking my ovulation, so I used at first like the cheap sticks that you get on Amazon. I read some really good reviews and stuff, and the first, I'd say I did it for March, April, May and June, and those 4 months I was finding that I was ovulating at around a similar time, so I was like, okay, that's cool. And they were showing that I was ovulating on like day 19 or something of my cycle, which is a little bit later for some people. But I was like, okay, it all seemed to be fairly, you know, accurate for all of them, and I did it sort of in bits of paper and everything. Yeah, around June I was like getting a little bit impatient, and I was just thinking, what's happening? Yeah, just was questioning things and stuff like that, but just like trying to be as healthy as possible. I was having like daily smoothies, and I was like, you know, working out more and doing lots of walks and just enjoying the summer, and just, you know, trying not to think about it too much, but just like tracking things as and when. And it wasn't until August when I felt like we had such a good month in terms of doing what we could, in terms of, you know, the thing that you need to do during my fertile window and what I thought was my ovulation and all of that. And then I think that was the first month when I actually took a pregnancy test, because my period didn't show for a day or two. It was a little bit later than it usually was, and I took a test and I just felt, I think that was the first time I felt like quite sad afterwards, and I felt like something's not right, and I just automatically went to this assumption that because of my health issues and my history, that I just didn't feel like it was going okay. It's really hard to explain, and like I'm trying to think, obviously, in my memory what I was thinking at that time, but it is really difficult. And I also have a tendency of blocking out like that sort of pain. I journaled a lot of it, but I just felt a lot of sadness, I think. So I had a chat with a doctor, and obviously it hadn't been an official year of trying, so she said, do you know what, there are a couple of things we can do at the GP surgery before obviously we look at referring you anywhere. And so what she did is she booked me in for a couple of hormone blood tests, and one of the ones that they do is they test your blood 7 days before your period to check like your progesterone levels. And so she booked me in for that, and then she also booked me in for an ultrasound to just check my ovaries and see if there was any signs of cysts, because I had a cyst very early in my 20s and things like that. So she said, yeah, we'll sort that out. So early September I had the ultrasound, and it didn't show up anything. It came up all clear, which again was obviously great. And then the blood test, I had it done, and then weirdly that month it's like my body just knew it wasn't going to play ball. My blood, like I said, my periods were between 30 and 33 days, and that month it was like a 45-day cycle, and it meant that the blood test was void because it has to be 7 days before you're due on. So it makes it hard to do if obviously you got irregular periods and things. So yeah, so I had to wait until the following month, and I just felt like a bit agitated about that, because it was like my cycles were so long that it just felt like forever. And also that particular month of September, I just felt like, because I was so late, I was like, oh, maybe I am still pregnant. And the doctor even said to me, I don't want to get your hopes up, but it's more likely that you're pregnant than you're not, if that makes sense. Like, bless her, I knew what she meant. It was just like, she's like, I don't want to get your hopes up, but wait a few more days and test again, because you could still be pregnant. So wait. And then obviously I waited, tested again, it's still negative. And then eventually I came on at like 45 days, and it was a bit heart crushing, I think. And because of that experience and also that month of having tests, my brain went into something's wrong with you, and this isn't right, you know. So yeah, I started getting in a bit of a bad headspace, if you like. Not all the time, it was just the 2-week wait and the journey into nearing my period. I just went into a bit of like a negative place, and I started getting, like, I'm quite good with my mental health. Like if I'm noticing something's off, I'll get help. Sorry, I realise that this is a long video, but I'm just going to talk and it's going to be long. And then yeah, I started getting Reiki, which is like a crystal healing thing that you can have with a friend of mine who does it, and I started getting that through the summer around the same sort of times, and she really taught me how to do things like journaling and to go through a journey with my self-love and, you know, all of that sort of stuff. And I went right back to early days, you know, with my health, and I worked a lot in journaling and with her on getting myself in a sort of good place, and it was working. And I found that even though nearing sort of October, November time, when things still weren't happening, I just tried to maintain things that she taught me, and I was doing meditation, and I was trying my best basically not to be crazy even though some months it was like really hard. In December, so random, really random, towards near Christmas, around the 20th of December, I had a takeaway and I ate quite a lot of food, and it was vegan. There was like kale and, like, you know, just like a vegan takeaway. And my Crohn's, I had a blockage and I had to go into hospital, and I was in hospital for about 4 days, and that really threw me off, because I remember going to A&E, and it was during like the height of C19, and I was so scared, and when I got into A&E they said, we're gonna have to do a CAT scan on you just to check that you haven't had a you know, you haven't got an abruption or anything like that, like we don't have to operate ASAP. And so in order to do that, they said, is there a likelihood you could be pregnant? And I said I could be. I'm due on my period any day now. So I had to do a pregnancy test, and it came back negative, and the floodgates just opened for me, because it was like I knew that window of opportunity for me being well with my Crohn's was kind of over. It's really hard to talk about. So that day, I didn't think I was going to cry actually. That day was really hard. That was really hard, because I wasn't allowed visitors in the hospital, and I just remember when the guy came to get me for my scan from the A&E, and I said, I'm guessing because you're wheeling me to the scan, that meant my test came back negative. And he was like, what test? And I was like, oh, I had to do a pregnancy test. Just realised I got mascara on. He said, yeah, I'm really sorry, it must have been. And I was like, the floodgates just opened. I just like started really crying, and I got wheeled in, and the 2 people that were in there doing the scan, they were like, oh, are you okay? They thought I was scared for the scan. And I was like, I'm okay. I was like, I'm upset because in order to have this CAT scan I had to do a pregnancy test, and me and my husband have been trying for nearly a year, and it came back negative, and obviously I'm just a little bit emotional right now, being in hospital, and I'm, you know, all that. And they were really lovely. And yeah, just being in hospital and dealing with that, and then finally got taken to a ward, and it just so happened that the nurse looking after me was like quite heavily pregnant, and it was just like really in my face, and I felt I'd hit a real low at that point, because my Crohn's had flared up, and I felt like it was really difficult to not feel like that was my window of opportunity gone. I really struggled with that, and yeah, I was just in a bit of a sad place, and I didn't have any visitors. It was just a really difficult month. And then thankfully I got taken out of hospital before Christmas, and I was able to heal at home and like crack on at home and work on a lot of things of myself, and I actually just allowed myself to feel and to cry. And I think that was the first time I'd properly mentioned on Instagram and social media as well about trying for a baby and the struggle of it. And I think with the Crohn's and everything, it was just I finally felt like this wasn't like, it's really difficult when you're trying and you feel like it's a secret because of maybe work or other reasons you don't want to share it. You don't want to, you don't want to share it and then people to walk on eggshells around you when it doesn't happen, because I felt like a lot of friends even wouldn't message me as much, like not my closest friends, but just like distant friends who maybe knew but didn't want to say anything out of fear, like that I wasn't. And it was a really difficult time because people could see that I was going through my Crohn's flare up, and obviously could realise the pain that I was feeling with the fertility issues and that. And yeah, so anyway, I got through recovery, and I found most of January was recovering, and also winter, just like basically just trying my best to just rest and everything, recoup. And I did actually come on my period in the hospital as well. It was like a double whammy. It was like a big FU, you know. And so that happened. And then January, I had a month off of trying, not necessarily because we didn't want to be intimate or anything. It was just more just a month off of tracking the apps, a month off of doing the ovulation sticks, and I just took time to heal from the blockage. And thankfully, I will say, the scans came back and it said there wasn't active Crohn's or inflammation. It was, I essentially live with adhesions in my bowel. Where I had surgery when I was 15, I've got like a narrowing in my large bowel, and from time to time it can get aggravated and it can get blocked. So I have a particular diet which I have to follow, a low residue diet, and I'm very, very slowly introducing foods again. So I'm kind of at a better place now, but I was literally eating like liquid foods, mashed potato, like things like that throughout January, just to kind of get myself confident with eating and get myself good again, you know. Obviously had a period in January, and then in February, my periods were kind of like up and down, but I started, thankfully, when I started getting healthier again, I was eating better again. I found January and February's periods like quite normal, and actually they were like 30 days or something, both of them. So I was like, okay, things are doing okay down there at least, you know. And then yeah, so the last period I had was on the 25th of February, and just unexpected really, because I was still kind of very much working on myself and still felt a deep sadness. And I also had hit the year milestone in the obviously early January, December time. So all of that sort of coming to a head and realising, and as you know, accepting that it'd been a year, but in total for me it'd been 13 cycles because of that weird one. And I appreciate, when I talk about this, I appreciate that isn't a very long time compared to other people that go years without, you know, success stories, or, you know, with losses. And I do feel, I just have to put this out there right now before I continue, I do feel so lucky, and I feel hormones, I feel really fortunate that this has happened for us naturally, because I really did get into a place where I felt like it wasn't going to, and I really assumed that because of my Crohn's and everything that I was just I hate to say this word, but this is how I felt. I felt broken, and I felt like all my life, since the age of 13, I'd had health issues, I've been in and out of hospital, and I just felt like this was another thing, you know. So to fall pregnant naturally, like, I can't even explain to you how much that means to me. But I also feel awful for people that are dealing with it and going through that, because the pain that I felt, I wouldn't wish that on anybody, and some people go through that for years. So I feel, if you're in that position, I hope you're not and watching this, because I feel awful about that. But yeah, I don't know. And then when you're actually trying, you expect it to be easy, and then when it isn't, I mean, for me, I had the added issues of health related things, but for any woman going through it, it's really difficult to not assume that something's wrong with you, because that's what we're here, that's what we're designed to do, that's what our bodies are supposed to do, and they're supposed to work. But anyway, it's a minefield, it's a whole other conversation. So yeah, so I found out, so 25th was my last period day, And then I found out, let's find out when. So on the 10th of March, I actually filmed a little video, and it was my first time, my first month tracking my ovulation again after the hospital visit. So I'd had my period and I was like, I'm going to track again this time. And for the past few months at the end of the year, and then that particular month I started using Clear Blue, and yes, they are really expensive, but I mean, I fell pregnant with them, so take that what you will, I suppose. So yeah, so I found out I was pregnant on the 26th of March. I was due on that day, and for some reason I just woke up in the morning. I had some weird dreams, and I woke up pretty early, and I felt to myself, because the day before I was like, do you know what, if I'm not on by tomorrow, then it's about 32 days, 31 days, and that, I'm just not sure. So anyway, I woke up in the morning, half asleep, grabbed a pregnancy test, just a cheap one that did like 2 lines, and I just used my first wee of the day, and I took a test, and within literally 20 seconds 2 lines showed up on the test, and I was like, I walked into the bedroom and I was a bit like stunned, and I looked at the box and I was like, 2 lines, that's positive. So Chris was like looking at me, and he'd just woken up and he was looking all cute, and I was like, I gave him the test and the box, and I was like, babe, what does this mean? And he was like, he grabbed it and he was looking at it and he was looking at the box, and he's like, he went, I've just woken up. And I was like looking at him, like laughing, like with this sort of look on my face, like, is this positive? And he sat up and he was like, no, it's not, and I was like, I think it might be. Literally probably sounded exactly like that. And then he was like, and I said, oh, this is just a cheap test. I've got a digital test, I'll take that one. And he was like, can you do it now? And I was like, well, no, I've just been to the loo, so I doubt I can go again. But maybe if I drink loads of water, I'll go in like half an hour or so. And he's like, I can't wait. And we both didn't believe it until I'd taken a digital test that said like pregnant or not pregnant, you know. Yeah, the 26th of March, and this is me shaking with my Clear Blue test. Yeah, and it came up pregnant 1 to 2 weeks, and fair to say I was shocked. I was shocked because I was expecting my body to have to like heal a bit more, and after the experience in December, even though it was March, it'd been a few months, it was still very much in the process. I just started therapy literally like 2 weeks before, like prior. I'd had a couple of sessions of therapy to try and like, you know, help my mental health and everything. And I was doing okay. Mentally, I was doing okay. I was like doing what I could. I took therapy. I was journaling. I was still recovering very much mentally from the flare-up of my Crohn's and the blockage and the hospital admission. And I was very much also coming out of this winter lull, and I was like trying to just work on myself. And I finally got to a point in the February where I was like, I just need to work on myself now. Like, this is not okay. I can't obsess over this. And a lot of people, when you're going through your fertility journey, and they do it out of trying to be helpful, they really do, and I appreciate it. But when you tell people you're trying, a lot of people say, oh, you'll fall pregnant when you stop trying. And the amount of times I heard that, and the amount of times I wanted to like fucking windmill and run and scream at that, and in response, because when you're in it, it's like the hardest thing. So to hear that, well, how do you stop trying? Well, let me put it this way. I didn't stop trying. I still tracked my ovulation, and I still tried to have sex during the fertile window. How do you not do that? It's not like, especially during the times that we were in a lockdown and everything, you can't book a holiday, you can't distract yourself and go away for the weekend, you know, there's not those norms that you could have done to have like things to look forward to or things to distract yourself. So you very much succumb to all of the stuff. And so the best thing I could do in that time was to have digital therapy, to work on my journaling, to go on daily walks, you know. That was my way of dealing with things, and everyone will be different. But anyway, I digress and I'm talking forever, but yeah, so for us it was 13 cycles, and I appreciate again that that isn't very long for some. And what I will say, in the January I spoke to the doctor, told them about the Crohn's, told them it had been a year and that nothing had happened, and she referred us to a fertility specialist in the hospital, and it was about 2 weeks or just before my period in February we found out that the appointment was going to be in July or June. It was going to be in June, so we had to wait from January till June to see the fertility specialist. So that, with the Crohn's and everything else that was going on, was when I realised I need to get therapy. So I did, and actually I'm glad I did. I really needed, even though I had only a couple of sessions, I'm glad I did it, because it was like what I needed in that moment. And yeah, so we were expecting to have fertility investigation, well, further investigation. And I will say, back in the September, October time, when I'd had tests, I forgot to mention this, Chris did go get checked as well. It wasn't all just on me. Chris went and got a check, and his stuff was all normal. So just to say, like, it wasn't all on me. So yeah, so that's kind of it in a nutshell. That was my journey. And again, I feel I really am mindful of how blessed I am and how quick, in comparison to some other people's journeys, it has been. So things, I mean, I've mentioned a lot, but things that helped me were therapy, Reiki, and spirituality. I just owe a lot to being in like a mindfulness situation. To some people that sounds a bit hippie, but I think it's getting more and more popular, and it's not hard to see why, because meditation and those sort of techniques can be super valuable for mental health, and for me it really works. So yeah, look at Emerald Taurus. I'll leave her link below. She's the person that I had, she's my friend who I had sessions with, and she's awesome. I also got things like tarot readings. Like, there was points where I was like buying candles that were meant to help with fertility. You know, I was trying it all, guys. I did the cheap tests from Amazon, the ovulation sticks. They were okay at the start, but I did find the clear blue ones in the end the most accurate. However, you start to become a pro with your body. You get so in tune with your body, you can kind of tell. And just a quick little thing, but cervical fluid, that's a nicer word, when you're ovulating is such a different consistency, and you just start to know that about your body. And I actually would go by not only the ovulation tests, but that as well. And that is what I genuinely think, if I hadn't had listened to that in the last month, because I ended up ovulating on like day 13 of my cycle, which was quite early, it was like earlier for me. But I thought, oh, this seems promising, and that, you know, and actually that month as well, like, talking about the sex side of it, which obviously is a big part of it. I'm really sorry, family, if you're watching this. But, you know, after a year of trying, I didn't want it to be about trying. I still wanted to enjoy the process, and I still wanted to very much have fun with it. And there were times where it wasn't like, you know, for me it was always great, but to Chris I feel like he felt pressured sometimes. So I just wanted to back off that. You know, I was working on myself, and that particular month I think we only ended up, you know, being intimate 2 or 3 times, and we got pregnant. So it just goes to show, you know, there were some months where it was like every day, and that's the months where I was like, when it was a negative test at the end of that month, I felt sad, because I felt like we'd done everything we could. But it really does go to show, it's completely random. It is like a lottery, honestly. I feel like falling pregnant to some people is like such a chance thing. It's like, it's unbelievable. It's a miracle, essentially. It feels like a miracle. But anyway, yeah, so they're the things that helped me. And other people ask me, like, what did you do in that last cycle that you felt helped? Honestly, it was a progression of things, and it was mainly just working internally. And I don't want to add to that conversation of, oh, when you stop trying, because I didn't stop trying. It was never not in here. So I just think as long as you're working on your stress levels and your mental health, and you're finding things to do as well as that, to feel happiness, to feel good, to feel like, you know, internally well, like your wellness, work on your wellness, that I feel like that's what helped me in the end. But you can never say for sure. You can never say this one particular thing that we tried did it. I will never be able to know that. But anyway, we're here. I'm now 16 weeks pregnant. We've had a couple of scans. Things are going well. I just feel so happy, and we're going to be finding out the gender this week. And yeah, I'm very blessed and excited, and me and Chris are just so excited to, you know, start a little family together. And yeah, we are also you know, they say it all comes at once, but we have also bought a house, and we're moving out of London, and we're moving to Portsmouth near my family, and we move next month, so I can nest properly and like get all the room ready and all of that stuff. And yeah, I just feel so fortunate and happy, and stuff that it happened for us. And it's still really surreal. I had the first little kick / flutter last night, and I cried. I was like, oh. But yeah, so I feel like that's everything in a nutshell. There's probably bits I've forgotten, to be honest. It's obviously I used my brain, I didn't write anything down, but if you have any questions, pop them in the description box below. I tried to be as open as possible, without oversharing, but yeah. And what I will say is pregnancy, the first trimester, there's no warning to get you through that. Some people have the best time and I didn't. And also this whole stereotype of, oh, you'll be glowing when you're pregnant. I have acne, so I'm definitely not glowing. I feel good. I feel much better in myself now that the sickness has died down, but the hunger acerbates the sickness so much. Oh my god. So in the first trimester I had like migraines, sickness. I felt nauseous all the time, and I vomited maybe like every now and again, sort of thing. It was quite random. It would just like suddenly go like this, and I'd be like, I'm gonna be sick. Like, it was so weird. Just like other things. What else did I have? Headaches, obviously spots, because I started getting spots quite early on, and then it's just sort of developed into more stuff. I'm on antibiotics as well for the skin. I had to go on steroids for a little bit because of my Crohn's, so that was like making the sickness worse. I'm off them now, thankfully, but yeah, that was a wild ride. I had to have my second COVID jab during the first trimester, so that was also a bit crazy. Yeah, I just felt tired, not as tired as some people get, but I think because I live with a chronic health problem, I think the tiredness just didn't really affect me. It didn't change anything anyway that I noticed. It was mainly just the nausea and the aversions to certain foods. Even water, sipping water would make me like gag sometimes. And yeah, the headaches and a bit of sore boobs, that never really bothered me too much. And cramps, sometimes I'd get cramps, and that was always a bit like, oh, is everything okay? We actually got a 6-week scan at the hospital because I was getting pelvic pain, and because of my Crohn's and everything, we just had to make sure that everything's fine, and there was a tiny little baby in there. So yeah, that's my story. I appreciate this is a super long video, so if you got to the end, then well done. Maybe out of sheer nosiness, I don't know, but yeah, thank you so much for watching this, and I want to very much keep organic on my online platforms with my content. So obviously I'm going to be growing a human. Well, I am growing a human, and that will mean things will have to adapt. I doubt I will be doing weekly Sunday videos anymore. It might be 2 a month, and we'll see how we go. 2 videos a month, and every now and again there'll be content to do with baby, or I'll talk about baby, but I do appreciate that's not for everyone. I'm not necessarily gonna become a mummy blogger or anything, but I do very much keep it real and lifestyle orientated over here, so I hope you don't mind. And on Instagram and things like that, like crafting and sewing is my, I hate to say it, but it's my brand, and it's what I'm passionate about. It's what I have, you know, I feel like that's my calling into the world. so nice. I realise this is so lame, but this is what goes on in my head, and I feel like that is what I love to share and what I do. And obviously a big part of that is also me talking about my life, and so things will obviously be there. I'm not necessarily just gonna go into that, because this is very much like my passion. I want a craft book one day, you know. I've got dreams and goals and aspirations. So yeah, so that's where we are. There we are. Oh my gosh, little baby Watts, little me, little mini me, coming in November/December, depending on when they want to arrive. And yeah, crazy stuff. Thank you so much for watching, guys. This is a long video and I felt like it was quite cathartic for me. I didn't know I was going to get upset, but there we are. So yeah, love you lots and thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.